Right guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video. In this one I've just got some Shimano hydraulic brakes, road brakes for you. So if you was thinking of purchasing a set yourself, or you was thinking of changing your bike and getting a disc brake bike and you just wanted to know what was what on it or how to set it up, or you purchased a group set and you wanted to know how to set up the levers or the calipers or the hoses even, and you're just wondering, then I'll run through some of the things that might help you out. Right, so if you purchase the brakes new, levers, calipers, hoses, they come like this in the kit. Right, so when it comes to your lever, you've got a piece of plastic in there that just stops you pulling the lever on before you've hooked up all the hoses and everything. So you can just leave that in there. When you finish, you can just pop that out like so, and it slides back in there like that on the inside of the lever. This is the right hand one for the rear derailleur. So what you want to do is pull back your hood like that. At the top there's your bleed point, the cover there. That's a 2mm hex on that. If it's a Ultegra or a Dura-Ace, that's 2mm. If it's a 105 like the R7020 or a Tiagra 4720, then that's a 2.5mm, that is. And just be very careful, you've got to make sure you've got a good fitting Allen key hex head for that, because you don't want to round that off. And the torque on that is like 0.5 Newton meters. Literally just nip it up, that's all you do. It's got an O-ring underneath it, so you don't want to over tighten that, whatever you do, otherwise you could round off the top of it there. Right, so the adjustments on these, if this is an Ultegra, if it's a Dura-Ace it'd be the same. You got 3-stroke adjustment, so that's a 2mm. So if you pull back your hood right back, there's a 2mm just there for 3-stroke, and then up under there there's a 2mm in there for the reach, so the distance to your drop. If you can't reach it with your hand, you can adjust it, bring it in closer. So if you want to bring it in closer, it's counterclockwise, and the grip becomes narrower, and then clockwise you go back out again. Now if this was a 105 lever or a Tiagra hydraulic lever, so that's the R7020 lever or the R4720 Tiagra, then they only have the reach adjustment. So the reach adjustment on those is a 2.5mm hex head, and it's by the side, it's on the side of the body of the lever, and they haven't got 3-stroke adjustment. So those two models haven't got 3-stroke adjustment. So the 2mm I showed in there, they haven't got that. You can only adjust the reach. On the Dura-Ace and the Ultegra you can do the reach and the 3-stroke adjustment. Then to mount them onto the handlebar, you've got the normal clamp there, which is a bolt just there, that's a 5mm just there, so to mount it on. Now if you purchased them brand new, you can get them with a hose. So they come with a hose that just goes all the way from your caliper and goes all the way up straight to there, or they do them with a joiner that's a metal joiner that's in the hose down by your head tube. So yours might have that, might not. If you're rigging up the hoses and you've got, say, your hose like that, what you need to do is put in the barb in the end of the hose there. So just put that down and show you, what I mean by that is the pin like that goes into there first after you cut them to length, and it goes in there. It's about roughly just over 15mm it goes inside there, if you want to know where to cut it. 15mm from the actual body there without the nut on there. So what you need for that is, in the kit again, you get 2 blocks like that. So what you can do with those is, if you just put them either side of your hose, leave it back a bit from the end, because you've got to allow enough room to knock the pin into there. So you can just offer that up and push it in as far as you can by hand into there. And then what you want to do is to clamp that up. If you clamp it in a vise, but if you haven't got a vise, then get a pair of grips and put around it like that, and then clamp that up and click them in. And then when you've got the pin in there, get a little hammer there, hold on to it tight and just tap it in. And make sure when you're cutting these hoses, this is also for cutting it, so you can cut down there with a sharp knife, obviously with a brand new blade in it, so it cuts it easily. Also, before you put the pin in, just have a look down in there, make sure nothing's in the end after you've cut it, otherwise your hose could get blocked up. You wonder why you got a problem. Make sure there isn't any white inside material or anything gone in there. So that's how to cut that down. Now, like I said, if you purchase them new and say it comes like that and you haven't got the joiners in the hose, then up inside there, when you've knocked the pin in the end like that, what you do is you just pull that out. That's in there for a reason. So you just pull that out like that. When you pull that out, what you've got is, inside there, without undoing that, it should be undone a little bit. It's not done right up when you get them new. There's an olive, which is one of those, inside there already. So it's already in there. So you don't need to put it on the hose. It's already down inside there, if you've got them brand new, that is. So there's an olive in there. If you want to know, you can just look in there and check before you put the hose in, but there should be one in there. So what you do is, because that's already in there like that, you imagine you're pushing your hose into there like that, it fits straight in there. It's going into the olive that's down in there like that. So it just goes over the olive like that. That'll be inside there, like so, as you can see. So if you've got the ones, they come with the joiners that are down by your head tube where they end up when you fitted them, just an inline joiner, that's the same thing. It's got a bung in it like that, and it's got an olive, it should have an olive already up in there. So all you do is put the pin in the end of the hose like I just showed, put that pin in, and then you just pull out the yellow bung there, and the olive's already in there, so you just slot it up in there and then do up the nut. Same as that, you slot that in there and do up that nut. So it's written on there, 5-6 newton meters, just nip it up, don't go mad crushing it right up, because what happens is, for these olives, is when you tighten them up, they get crushed onto the hose. So as you see there, it starts off looking like that and it finishes up looking like that. So they get crushed down like that, with just a couple of mil showing at the end. If you're fitting one of these on there like that, say you're fitting into a caliper or whatever, just put that on there like that. When you put it up inside the caliper, don't forget to put your nut on first onto the hose, so as you can hook it up again. Otherwise, if you get to put the nut on there, you won't be able to, you've got nothing to do it up with. As you see there, the nut, 8mm nut. So make sure you slide that down the hose first before you put on the, before you put the barb in, and then put your olive on. And then what you want to do is just get some grease and just dab some, like, just a little bit of grease on that olive before you put it up inside. And it goes up inside there, roughly about 12mm from the edge of the body in there, so you know how far it is. So you can just push your hose, if you got it through your chainstay, just push your hose back a bit inside your chainstay first, and then cut it to length, so you know you've definitely got enough left on there when you mount the caliper for a later date. You don't cut it too short. Right, so when it comes to hooking up your cable, what you're looking for is you pull back your hood like that. If you've got manual shift, obviously not Di2, then your cable goes in the slot on the outside there, the elongated slot, and it comes through, and you've got a cover on the inside, so you just flick that cover off, the cable goes through, and then it comes round like that. And in the kit you're looking for an end like that with a bump on it. And what that is, that one goes in there like that, then your outer comes round and goes into there, around your handlebars, and go into there. They come with various ones in the kits. They come, if you've got the cables like that, the outers, they come with ones on like that, but they come with optional ones with the longer piece on the end as well. So you can exchange it for that if you have to, if you want to. But that's how you get your cable hooked up, like I said. And then I'll just remove that. Then that will come round like that, and that goes into there like that. So it's in there. Right, so your levers and your system uses the Shimano hydraulic mineral oil like that. Just make sure you've got some of that to hand. So you also get the funnel adapter if you purchase them new, like this. So what that does is when you pull back your hood and remove your cover there, you screw that into there. It's got a little O-ring on it. Just nip that up. Don't have to tighten it right up, you just literally nip it up, otherwise you just round it off. So just nip that up, and what that does is that piece screws into your bleed cup, so it looks like that. So the whole lot screws in to there. So you need a bleed cup like that, Shimano bleed kit, to do the bleeding with. So it's a cup like that. So you get the cup, and then you get a syringe like that. And what that black piece does is that slides down when you got the rubber off the bleed nipple. Then you can slide that down to it, so it locks it in place, and then slide this down the hose, and that locks it onto the bleed nipple, stop it coming off. Right, so with your front caliper, you've got the bracket on it here. Now if it's got 160 on the side there, and then on the other side it's got 140. So if you're running a 160mm rotor on the front, then you have it up like that. So imagine it's bolted onto the fork like that. So if you need to alter it to 140, you need to remove those two 4mm there. Before you remove them, just make sure the bottom one, there's a pin there. Just remove that first, and then turn it over for 140, and then put your two 4mm back in, torque them up 7Nm, and then put the pin back in when you finish tightening them up. And then the two bolts that hold it on to the fork, what you do is when you finish tightening them up, you get a clip like that for the front. And what that does is, you can see it's got a piece sticking out there. That locates in that hole, so you push it out, you put that, spread it out, put it over the bolt, and then that fits in that hole like that, and it's over there like that. Just stops it coming undone, just in case. So if you want to remove the pads to put the bleed block in, so you just pull out that clip there, pull that out, flat blade, undo that, take the pin right out, and you can pull the pads out, and then you put the bleed block in from up underneath. So you just slide that up through there where the pads were, and then put your pin back through to hold it in place. You've also got this, which is a temporary disc. So if you're taking your wheels out for any reason to work on your bike or to transport it, what you do is you just put that up in between like that, and it just clips in up the top onto the pin that's going through the middle. So it just clips in place like that. And then if you're transporting your bike and you accidentally press the levers, it's not going to pump the pads right out. And same if you're working on your bike, just put that in, and if you accidentally touch the levers, you know it's not going to pump the pads right out, and then you won't be able to get your disc rotor back in. Also with these, if you're working on them, never use a screwdriver. When you remove the pads, don't use anything sharp like a screwdriver to push the pistons back in, because they're very easily damaged. You need a flat tool for that you put down in there and push them back. The pistons, if they come out, say if you're changing your pads and the pistons have come out because the pad material is worn, then you can push them back in. They do two types of pad for these. They do the resin pad and the metal backed sintered version of the Ice Tech. These with the cooling fins on them. Right, so with the rear caliper, what you've got is the bolts to mount it like so, two of these. Now these are 43mm bolts, so that's what they normally come with, but they actually do 38mm and 33mm of these, so it depends what thickness your chainstay is. So these, so if you've got a 43mm one of these like this, it's for like roughly for a frame thickness of 30mm. If you've got a 38mm one, it's for 25mm chainstay thickness, and if it's 33mm, so shorter again, that's for a 20mm frame thickness in your chainstay. So the part number for these is Y8PU080, and then 10 if it's 33, 20 on the end if it's 38, and the 43 is 30 on the end. So you just replace the 10 on the end with 20 or 30. So that's another thing. And when you mount that on, sometimes they come with a guide like that, sometimes they don't. That just sits on top of your chainstay like that, so when you put the bolt through, it sticks up and you can see if you've got enough available thread sticking through. So that'll go up inside there. If you can see the top of it there, like that, then you've got enough thread sticking up through the frame to mount the caliper. So that's what that is, if yours comes with that in the kit. Now, when you've put these bolts in, you tighten them up, like 8 Newton meters. What I like to do is just put a bit of anti-seize on here, just in case that gets stuck in there at a later date and you want to remove the caliper and find that it's seized in there for any reason. You're better off just putting a bit of anti-seize on there, just in case. And also with this one, when you do this bolt up, when you've totally finished the installation, remember to put the split pin, or the little pin that you get, like I showed on the front caliper, into that hole there. You can see there. So once that's in, you can put that in once you finally tightened it up. Right, so if you've got the centre lock rotors like this, then the lock ring like that uses the cassette lock ring tool. So same as for your rear cassette to do that up. Right, so I hope you found the video helpful. If you did, remember to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel for more cycle related content. Till next one, ride safe and I'll see you then.